Hello everyone, it's time for another part of playthrough from Tourist Trophy. Without further ado, let's go back. Get Honda CBR 600RR, race modified, and today I have another set of two events, but today it's Supersports 600 and Superbike 1000. So basically, very fast race bikes. But also thanks to those events I can acquire, that's an interesting thing. If I'm not mistaken, there's a possibility I might get prize bikes, including those for 8-hour Suzuka endurance race. So let's begin this chapter. So the first race is on Tsukuba circuit, 5 laps, and I also have the best set of opponents, to be honest, because I have a Honda CBR 600RR, 130 horsepower, but if I'm not mistaken, few of those bikes even have a chance to hit 140 horsepower, and also those are race modified, so it's not a big surprise that those races could even be a bit difficult. Luckily the first race and beginning is set on Tsukuba circuit, so I need to get used to those controls because there was a long break. Also, what I need to say is that the best thing about this particular track, because let's be honest, Tsukuba circuit with the chicane is the best version because of how opponents in those polyphony digital games drive. Like, I mean, in Tourist Trophy we don't have many upgrades, just casual exhaust and air filter upgrade, if I'm not mistaken. Possibly some other things, but mostly adjustments. This AI seems a bit more difficult. They drive cautiously, but they also brake very late. Here's my chance to overtake this opponent. Let's see. Damn it! That was not the best. That was not the best tactic. Too bad. Luckily, I'm still on the first place, so here's a possibility that I can easily win this particular race. Let's see. Only 2 laps to go. That's great. This first race seems a bit easier than I thought, but I'm not naive. I guess other races and this particular event would be even more difficult because honestly we need some challenge in this game, as we obviously don't have any upgrades like in Gran Turismo series, so this is actually a great chance to make this game more difficult, to be precise. And that's also the best thing, how you can finish this particular race just by falling off of the bike. Alright, the first race is over. Let's move on to the next one. Alright, so the second race takes place on Old Ring. I don't think that qualification run is important. Just in case, I might as well use save states. But this is also not the best idea I have right now. Let's take the chances. I have Honda CBR 600RR with this popular, what's interesting, tourist trophy livery, which, if I'm not mistaken, was recycled probably from another Honda motorbike that was possibly used in late GT concept, because there was an idea to make a tourist trophy in 2002 on Gran Turismo concept game engine, but it was delayed until 2006 because by that time Polyphony Digital was more focused on making a perfect game for PlayStation 2. That means Gran Turismo 4, possibly the same case as with Gran Turismo PSP, which was supposed to be a game made on Gran Turismo 4 game engine, just like Tourist Trophy, and just converted for PlayStation Portable. But finally, despite all those tracks from Gran Turismo 4, it was actually made at the same time as GT5 Prologue. Also, I overshot a bit that happened. So yeah, if you are curious, for example, why you don't have another Omega Boost Motor Team Grand Prix Tourist Trophy, or even, as it was rumored by Kazunori Yamauchi himself, there were more ideas to make various games for PlayStation 2 besides of Gran Turismo, but sadly, I guess Gran Turismo is the most ambitious project from Kazunori Yamauchi, and also I'm not sure, I can't say that there are any more ambitious projects right now like Gran Turismo 7. You know, it's your most favorite project, the one you started in 1997, the most ambitious one, the one that gave you the biggest amount of money, all that stuff. Wouldn't be surprised about this. Nowadays, many companies do various editions of their best games just to keep themselves afloat, because gaming industry nowadays is a big joke. Can't blame those indie game companies, small groups or individuals who try to bring, let's just say, those types of games that damn it, lost my focus, that want to keep their projects the same as many great games made many years ago. I guess this is the 21st century for you. final lap. And what is interesting, despite the fact that it is supposed to be a more difficult championship for fast sports bikes, rather not sports bikes, racing bikes. This second race is also a bit easier than I thought. Luckily, there is a possibility that all other races in Supersports 600, and also there is a chance that Superbike 1000 championship would be easy enough to acquire those very fast race bikes. And it's done. Perfect. Only 3 more races to go, and I'm done with this. Time for race number 3. After onto ring, there is a possibility finally that the next race would be more difficult. Of course, we have Deep Forest Raceway, so this is a bit more difficult track, but I need to be cautious anyway. Because, let's be honest, I have rolling start, and like in many arcade games, opponents are far away. Not bad. Not bad at all. Now here is my chance. Damn it. Ah, too difficult. But it is a nice show anyway. Seeing how some of those circuits are difficult and why you need to be cautious while playing those racing games. Not all racing games are very easy. Sometimes they even let you learn the basics. Not this again. I need to win this race. Even if this track is a bit more difficult than the previous ones. The final lap. Here goes nothing. Alright. Keep it steady. Perfect. That's just great. 3 races done, 2 more to go. So, being honest, I think those 2 last races could be a bit more difficult, but let's see. I had Tsukuba Circuit, on Touring and Deep Forest Raceway. Now I have 5 laps around Midfield Raceway. A nice show, to be precise. So let's see what is gonna be here. Is it an easy overtake? Yes, it is. But now I need to catch the leader. Luckily, those races are not very boring, and I have, let's be honest, it's not very bad electro music, but that's just modern electro music. I was a bit more interested in electro clash music, for example, made by Alex the House Cat, Miss Kidding, the Hacker, and also Vitalik. Can't say this soundtrack is a bad one. It's just that it's a bit different from what I've been listening to many years before I even found out that Tourist Trophy actually have this electro genre soundtrack. I knew something like that would happen, so I didn't care so much. I'm still in the first place, so this is not a big problem yet. Few things I've learned while playing few racing games, action games and such. If you're playing on an emulator and you screw something up, you still have save states, or you can just turn off the game and get back to this championship from the beginning. Also, let's be honest, some games can be difficult. You need to get used to it. Alright, time for the final lap. That's perfect. So now I have only one final race left in this event. But again, it will be a long race, 5 laps, possibly Grand Valley Speedway, because I haven't gave any thoughts about the tracks that were visible before starting this championship, so let's check it out. I have 40 points, 4 races done. Now it's time for the final challenge after Tsukuba Circuit, on Touring, Deep Forest Raceway and Midfield Raceway. And obviously the final race is set on Grand Valley Speedway. Who would have thought? So this is a nice challenge because we can't actually race like in Gran Turismo 4 on Nürburgring Nordschleife. We don't have this Bugatti circuit in Le Mans and other tracks, so the most difficult track is the same one as in Gran Turismo 1, possibly Gran Turismo 2 and also Gran Turismo 3. Iconic Grand Valley Speedway. 5 laps. Okay. So on this track, this Kawasaki is the fastest one. Let's see how long he can keep this first place. That's interesting. Normally I would not be surprised if this opponent made a big crash. Alright, first half of this race is over. I have around 3 seconds of lead distance. I need to get used to this section after this long time. Alright, only 2 laps to finish this race. Here is the final lap. So I'm getting close enough to finish this event. Supersports 600. I honestly thought that this particular event would be a bit more difficult, but nonetheless it actually was a bit of a challenge, overtaking all those opponents through those 5 laps and running away without any crashes. At least not many tragic ones. all is done. All championship is finished. And the first place. Every time.
I will turn the other day.
Now, let's take all the prizes. New riding gear has been acquired. We have Nakano outfit and also the marvelous Moriwaki CBR Tiger Racing for Suzuka 8-hour entrance race. Perfect. So by winning Supersports 600 behind the wheel of Honda CBR 600, I actually acquired modified Honda CBR 1000 RR. And also I won the championship, so obtained a special racing number. Alright. So now I have Superbike 1000. And honestly, I could actually use those Suzuka 8-hour entrance bikes, but I think that Aprilia RSV 1000R would be a better decision. 180 horsepower. Just need to make proper adjustments. Also, I need to change the racing tires, hard ones, because you know, not much else to do, sadly. Whatever, I have what I need. So now it's time for another championship, but this time it will be a more difficult one. Superbike 1000, only race modified bikes. And I have 5 races: Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, Infineon Raceway, Touring Motegi, Suzuka Circuit, and final showdown at Ricardo Tormo Circuit in Valencia. So, a perfect set of, let's be honest, real circuits only. First race, Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. 5 laps around the marvelous Californian track. Not the best tactic for overtaking. I knew something like that would happen, but also I still had a chance to make the opponent fall off his bike. So that's still a nice detail. Sometimes you can actually make opponents crash their bikes. But right now I also need to be more careful because third lap has started and I am still second. It's a bit difficult event to be precise. Not bad. Alright, keep it steady. Not bad. It looks like this particular event would also be a more simple one. A bit simpler than I thought. So, first race was on Laguna Seca Raceway. Now we are moving to another Californian racetrack, this time the iconic Sears Point, known also as Infineon Raceway. Honestly, as I said earlier, I'm not a big fan of this particular racetrack, not only because it is more difficult than Laguna Seca, but also I have a feeling that this particular track, besides of those difficult corners, don't really have too much of a depth. It is difficult, but beside of that, it's not very interesting one. However, it's still good that we have various racetracks, world circuits, after all. Also because of the fact that Gran Turismo 3 was supposed to have few world circuits planned at one point, but we only had Laguna Seca and Monte Carlo because Gran Turismo 3 was a rushed game. So any future plans outside of Gran Turismo 3 were left for Gran Turismo Concept and then for Gran Turismo 4. And thanks to Gran Turismo 4 we also have Tourist Trophy with world circuits. I wonder how Tourist Trophy would actually look like if it was actually made in 2002, because there was supposed to be a demo for E3 2002. One thing I can say honestly about Infineon Raceway, it is a very difficult track, mostly because of all those chicanes, tight sections, but also the fact that we have many elevation changes, and let's be honest, undulating surfaces are also a little concern for me when it comes to those tracks. And the final lap begins here. So after this particular race, I need to move out to Japan to make Motegi, Suzuka, and the final showdown takes place then in Europe, in Valencia. And I'm driving a very fast Aprilia RSV 1000 factory edition, but also despite the fact that it's a factory edition with this red and black color livery, this racing modification is actually one of the best. Honestly, I always thought that Aprilia RSV and some of those motorbikes made by Aprilia were not as fast, for example, honestly, as for example Honda CBR 1000 RR street bikes, and Kawasaki Ninja ZX-10R. But here we are. Turns out this Aprilia race modified. I have 14 seconds of lead from all my opponents. Not bad. Turns out in right hands, all of those bikes could actually be fast enough. Not all of them, but many of those, at least. So I won the second race of Superbike 1000 championship event. So after Laguna Seca Raceway and Infineon Raceway, it's time to go to Suzuka. But before that, I yet have another difficult track, Tuning Motegi Road Course. My bad. Tuning Motegi Road Course, then Suzuka Circuit, and after that, Ricardo Tormo Circuit in Valencia. That's one thing I need to remember about this particular track. Just like with those spoon and 130R corners in Suzuka. Time to finally overtake all those opponents. Because lap number 2 ends here. I need to catch up to this opponent. Only 2 laps to go. Two laps to go, 5 seconds of lead. A lead distance from my opponent. Alright, so after this final lap, I have a chance to finally make a great battle at Suzuka and then Valencia. I'm just curious what bike I'll afford after passing this particular championship. If I have Mariwaki Moto CBR 600 RR from Suzuka Tower Endurance races, maybe there is a possibility that I might actually acquire maybe another Suzuka Endurance type of bike, motorbike, or I don't know, another racing bike, which probably would be almost as fast as those motorbikes. I don't know. Great, only 2 more races to go. 2 final challenges in this particular championship. However, beside of that, another challenge I have is actually the fact that the summer is coming, and while I'm recording this video, it's a bit hot. Alright, so only 2 races left. Race number 4 of Superbike 1000 Championship. Finally, 5 laps around Suzuka circuit before I can move out to Valencia. So 5 laps. 5 laps around my favorite track, but also I'm curious if I would finally be more cautious on this track, because there were many crashes near Spoon Corner or 130R corner, and it's not a good idea, to be precise, because honestly, in real life, those particular situations would actually make me, I might say honestly, this a very bad idea, considering the fact what, for example, happened to Daijiro Kato. So during this particular race, I finally need to be more cautious. Drive through this chicane fast enough but not to crash, and see how I can deal with that. Right. Damn it! At least it was not too fast. Okay? At least I am learning. It's a bit difficult because after the chicane I need to brake hard, and those bikes lose traction, so maybe that's the possibility for that. 130R was not a big concern, a big challenge, because I still managed to keep the bike away from the sand outside the track, so it's not too bad. Alright. Only one opponent left right now. Let's see. As I am in the first place, there is a possibility that I would not crash out. Let's see right now. Yes, I finally made it. Let's see what's gonna be next. Because I'm in the first place, second lap, haven't been finished yet. That was great. Thought for a second that I might crash again, but it was good. I need to stay focused while racing on this particular track, because in Gran Turismo 4 driving a car is very easy, because even if you get off the track, it's still not a bad situation. But in Tourist Trophy, it's more difficult. Just worse. Alright, this chicane is done. Now on this spoon corner, 130R. A little chicane before a final straight, and I'm done with this track. Perfect. Suzuka circuit is done. That was a long race. Long and difficult, nonetheless. So, right now I have only one final challenge left. 5-lap race around Circuit de la Valencia. I'm not very good at Spanish accents, so I'll just say Ricardo Tormo Circuit de la Valencia. Circuit de la Comunidad Valenciana Ricardo Tormo. Ricardo Tormo Circuit of Valencia. 5 laps around a breathtaking, fast racetrack. So I have a marvelous track that was only available in Tourist Trophy and also Gran Turismo PSP. Never came back. Also, that's a little shame that we did not have this particular track in Gran Turismo 4, for example. Imagine having an endurance race in Valencia, or actually racing on this track and, for example, I don't know, DTM or other European events I remember were made for Gran Turismo 4. I will need to get back to the playthrough from Gran Turismo 4, honestly, because I've been a bit laid back nowadays. I don't know if this is a little burnout or there's just a lot of things I need to think of, but the good thing is probably next week I'll have another playthrough from Gran Turismo 4. Damn it. I passed the opponent and he crashed into me. Not a good idea. I have a wild idea considering this opponent, but nope, because I might crash into an obstacle myself. No need for repeating the whole event to have a perfect game save with all first places everywhere. Only 2 laps to go, and I run away. That's just great. Survived this mistake, a big one to be precise. Those types of mistakes usually end up with broken arms or even blunt trauma. Final lap begins, almost 6 seconds away from my opponents. It's finally done. Both championships I have to win today are finished. So Right now I only need to acquire another prize bike and be prepared for the next set of events, which, if I'm not mistaken, will be a bit longer. But let's get the prize bike. Okay, I got a new riding gear owned by Aoyama, and also it looks like I actually had another Suzuki Tower Endurance race bike. Yoshimura Suzuki Romo SRX GSXR 1000. Damn, that's a long name. Who the hell thought about that? But yeah, two best bikes acquired. Twice became a special, have a special racing number because I won 2 championships. Damn it, that's a long episode. Also a bit exhausting, so I'll need to be prepared for the next one. Also, stay tuned for the next video and have a nice day. I'm out.